Hello YouTubers. I thought I'd make a video today that covers an issue that I have with the car. It's with all cars, none of them's perfect. I don't care what car you have, there's always something that needles you just a little bit that, man, I wish I could tweak that, make that just a bit better. And this car has one of those things that I would like to work on. So today is that day. So the thing that bothers me about this car, again, it's not a hate, it's not a dislike, it's just something that needs tweaking. And that is this gap right here between the bumper and the panel. I would like for that gap to be tight like it is here. There's almost no gap. The panels are actually touching. But as we come back here, it is not. So something behind here could be causing it to droop. Don't know what it would be, but it's on the same, I have the same problem on this side, but a bit worse. So I'd like to close that gap. There are brackets behind here that I would think would be the problem. But my concern is both brackets on both sides. Probably not. Maybe it's something in the middle that lifts the bumper into place or holds it better into place. It's causing it to sag on both sides. But we'll see. I don't know what it's going to take to fix it. And I could make the problem worse. I hope I don't, but we'll see. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull the lights out of the back of the car, and I'll go through that with you. So I've popped the trunk lid, and I've started to pull out these pieces here, and I'll pull out these pieces here. Essentially, I use this tool here. I have a BAV sound tool that I used on that car to install a BAV sound audio system. But it's just a panel tool. Anyway, that's what I'm using to pull this out. And then these here should just pull right out. Okay. So I'll do the same thing on that side. Be right back. Now that the panels are off, the next thing I need to do is take the tail lights off the car. So to do that, you're going to pull a push pin out of here and here, and you're going to pull back the carpet liner. And what we're going for are two screws, one here and just below it, and one right there. So here they are, the two screws, and the other one is right there. You can just barely see the end of it. Sorry. But we're going to pull those out, and then we're going to pull the fixture out with some force. For those that are noticing this, I installed the brightest reverse light bulbs that you could put in here that are LEDs, and it needed a resistor. So that's what you're seeing there. I like the car to not, it looks like a brand new car. Everywhere else it has LED bulbs, except they put an incandescent bulb in the reverse light. Whatever. So anyway, that's been changed out, which is why you see the resistor connection. Anyway, let me undo the screws and we'll pull the system out, or fixture out. So I'm just confirming that those three screws were the only screws. 1, 2, and 3. And then I pulled the headlight bucket headlight fixture out. Made a connection, disconnection here. This was down, and then I had to push in this pin here and made the disconnection there. And I don't see anything here that would cause it to sag, but anyway, we're going to take off this side. Okay, so both headlight assemblies are out. I can tell something's happened here. Maybe that was done from the factory, but I don't know. We'll have to see. Everything looks perfect, really, except that pin there broke. That would have no bearing on lifting the bumper up. Again, close. I'm trying to pull this up without showing you. Trying to pick it up. It wants to drop. I don't think that has any bearing on the problem. But the next thing I'm going to do is pull out this piece here. And it's held in with these bolts there. And then that should maybe help reveal something else to go after. So let me pull that out. So I undid the 4 screws. They were these. They were held on here and up here. And I had to lift up on the panel. And you'll see these here held it in. Just lifting up on those 2 points. So at this edge and that edge, lift up and this panel it's free. I also had to remove the molding from the track. I don't see anything in here that is going to be of any value to me yet on working on the bumper, but it's out. The next thing I'm going to do is unscrew. There are screws in here. I can't remember. There's one here, one here, one there. I have the mud guards, but I think the same screws are on every car in the same location. So I'm going to unscrew those 3. And then underneath are screws around this area that are kind of joining this fender liner to the bumper. Anyway, I think there's screws here, 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 and then the 3 in here. And I think that will free up this side. There are two bolts, one here and one down there, holding this on. I don't know if that's important or not, but I'll probably take all of those out too. Anyway, I'll let you know when I get. Okay, so there's a bolt in here. Where's it at? Right there. That is right behind here. So I've undone those 3 pieces, like I said. Push this out of the way. I've undone the ones underneath the panel, and I'm about to undo this one. These underneath here are 7mm. Everything that was behind the taillight was an 8mm. And the fender liner is who knows, but it's a Torx bit. All right, so everything's undone. And I'm just going to pull. Oh, whoop. like everything pulled out. No sign of a problem. And they are riveted in. So I was looking at this panel here, thinking I might could adjust this thing upward back here, but it's riveted. So there's no way to adjust that upwards unless I do have a rivet gun. I drill all of those out, pull this piece of plastic further up, thereby making it tighter up there, pulling the panel up. But I still want to look at the center. I feel like something with the center, or maybe even this piece here, can come up and close that gap. We'll see. How is this? So here I'm just pulling up on this. Just wants to pull right up. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, maybe there's an adjustment here that could pull backwards on this, which would lift that up, close that gap. So maybe the adjustment is here, or further in the middle, that will lift this up. Anyway, I need to undo the 2 bolts underneath that we saw earlier. They feel like 7 millimeters as well. And then I think the bumper is pretty close. And to recap, all I've done is pull the panel back, undo the screws for the headlights, pull the headlights out. When I pull the headlights out, you gotta go, and it will pop out. It'll pop out, but it will require some pressure. Don't twist it out like this. Pull it out one swoop, because you don't want to break the tabs on the lights. And then I've undone that panel, and then I've unscrewed the 3 bolts in the fender well. There's a bolt underneath right here that we've undone, and then the bolts underneath. I'm getting ready to undo the 2 down here. And I think the bumper, I'm sure it's held on in here somewhere. And we'll see what we can do to pick the panel up. So let me undo those 2 and see what we can do about getting that off. Okay, bumper's off. So what did I do? Obviously I hate that I can't record, and because I don't have a tripod and show you everything at the same time. But I undid the 2 screws down here, like I said. They were bolted to these things here underneath. And there's where the screw went. And then it's held in here, it looks like. Just kind of wedged here. So this here was wedged in here. All I did was pull back gingerly, not trying to break the bumper, because you don't want to break anything off, otherwise it won't hang back up correctly. But I'm tried to just pull this out. Looks like you can bend this back down if it was loose. But I think what I'm going to do, okay, so on this, you got screws. I feel like this is where we can get the most bang for our buck in fixing this, by seeing if there's any room to move this up and tightening that down. Maybe this thing has drooped over time. It's plastic, so you can't bend it. You can't bend it back and have it be something else. But if I can, worst case scenario is I pull this off, drill the hole out a little further down, make the hole bigger going down, thereby lifting this up and screwing it in and tightening it back down. Giving myself some room to make an adjustment if there's not room behind it now to make the adjustment. And the other thing is, this here is metal, so I should be able to move that up, just bend this back up some. I think between that adjustment, moving it up, moving this up some, it will close the gap for sure. Is it going to make it 100%? I don't know. We'll find out, but I'm not a body guy. Don't know much about stuff like this. I'm just guessing as I go along. So, oh, and I put the bumper, I just have a Harbor Freight, one of those, whatever moving pads this thing is. I put it underneath it, and when I pulled out here, the bumper just wanted to fall, so this was there to catch the fall. Anyway, let me make some adjustments and we'll see where we are. Okay, so I did not end up drilling these out. I just moved them up as far as I can within the existing hole. Kind of leery about making it weaker, because this piece here still mounts part of the tail light, and you can't go too far out of whack or you're messing with the tail light at that point. I'm assuming that's what these pieces here look like they would do, is line up the tail light. Don't know for sure, just a guess on my part. But I wish there was a way to adjust that, because this here is the problem. If this could go up, that could go up, that would fix the problem. I do know a paint and body guy that could probably feel more confident about drilling that stuff out than I do. I certainly don't feel confident drilling that out. But I think, well, also I picked up on this just a little bit. Picked up on this, a hair, I'm guessing a hair. Maybe a 1/16 of an inch, I've probably lifted that up. We'll see if that, in addition to this, pulls the bumper up. I don't think I'm ever get it perfect, and that can't be my goal, but because I don't have the tools and I'm not a paint and body guy, I'm not gonna be able to get it perfect. But I think I'm gonna be able to get it better. So I think let's clean it up. Gotta clean all that out and put the car back together, and we'll see where we are. I'll let you know. So I'm not gonna cover putting everything back in and where everything goes. We covered where everything comes out from. So going back is just the opposite. So I've cleaned everything out. Still a little damp, but the underside of my car is even cleaner than the underside of my car normally is. So the bumper's back on, but that gap is still there. Don't know that I made any difference so far to making any tweaks to lifting this panel up, lifting up that track behind here, and lifting this panel here up, or that piece up. The only thing I can hope for now is when I put in the tail light, sorry, it will pull back on this panel and lift it up. You can see it. It's slight, but we know what doesn't work. We know what doesn't make a difference. By the way, lining this thing back up was the hardest thing. So you remember that track we had here? There are grooves, you can't tell it, in the back of the bumper that this thing just slides into. It's not a one-person job because the bumper needs to be in this general way, not dragging, dipping anywhere. If you had two other people, one on each side and one in the middle lining it up, this thing would have gone in with no problem. But with two hands and one person, didn't go quite that well. It took forever. Anyway, I'm going to continue putting the car back together, and we'll review it after that. For those wondering how I did this LED piece, there is a wire, the positive and negative going to the bulb. I put in the LED bulb, and it'll work without this, but what'll happen is you'll notice that the light will remain slightly on, like 1% of the light will be on if you don't put the resistor in. And then I just double-sided sticky taped the resistor underneath it. So that's how I have these set up. Works like a champ. Not worried about overheating with reverse light bulbs that would cause an issue with the resistor or anything like that. So very simple process. All right, well, the car's back together and washed. I can tell what's going on. And I think we still have the exact same problem as before. So the efforts I took made no difference. I really, really believe drilling out that bracket that goes along the panel is the right way to do this. Drill those rivets out, put in, I guess you could reuse the same panel bracket and re-rivet it in, but just slightly higher. And that will fix the problem. And not down here. Undo the rivet closer to the back, pick it up, and re-rivet it back in somehow, some way. But that's not going to be a me job. That's going to be somebody else's job. All right, hopefully you have found this helpful. We know now what does not fix the problem, which will help us know where to start looking going forward. Hope you enjoyed the video, and if you like the video, like the video. Thank you.